Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television GPTV. On Bright in My Hands is History Comics World War II Fight on the Home Front, written by Kate Hannigan with art by Josh Rosen. Now, for those who have never seen History Comics, it's a pretty cool line of comics by First Second that takes you through, well, kind of an important time of history. In this case, obviously, World War II, but instead of taking us to the war front, it focuses on how things changed right here at the home front. And it's actually a really intriguing read, because it goes through how this war shifted and changed, what was going on right here in the U.S. It's everything from small things like speed limits at 35 became a big thing to save on tires. I might have learned it at some point, but obviously, in fact, I don't quite remember about that. Like, sherbet became a thing and started really selling around this time because stuff that go into ice cream was being rationed. Didn't know that. It talks about how things like, movies and television shows and newspapers and comics and, like, all this varied entertainment took off during this time period to distract people. And at the same time, a lot of shifts in work was happening as well. Obviously, women entering the workforce, African Americans entered the workforce more, but still faced a lot of discrimination. It's interesting. It's really intriguing. And what I like about it is, unlike some other of the history comics and science comics, there's not really a narrative about this. Like, there's not a story that's being told. It's kind of like a series taking you through just a bunch of facts, and to me, it's kind of neat that way. And I said that the facts are actually really interesting, and you start seeing kind of like the impact that we see today. Like, I really should have kept a list, but there's a lot of things that are thrown out in this comic that you can see how we are where we are because of that. What's also interesting is that afterwards it has a, like, hey, here's like some of the other ramifications post World War II of how things change. Obviously we got things like microwaves and television and radar and penicillin and obviously nuclear weapons. Not everything was good. So yeah, I think it's really good. It's a little bit, I think, different than the other history comics, as I said, because there's not like a story to it, but the way it's presented, I think, is intriguing. Like, it throws out also a lot of data. Like, that's the thing that I think is really cool, is it starts putting in facts of being like, hey, at this point they sold, like, there's one point I think it said it was like, for manufacturing of cars, they made like 153 the entire year or something like that. Like, to me, that's a really fascinating stat. When you can think of like how many cars were sold. And I think later on it says something like, because of obviously World War II, everyone moved to the suburbs, and then 21 million cars were sold. I think that's like a really interesting juxtaposition, a little interesting about data thrown in there, and it's something I like. Like, it kind of sells. It's my sort of thing. But it also talks about, like, how daycare became a thing because women had to go into the workforce, and how things changed as far as food and victory gardens and rationing, and obviously propaganda became a big deal. The only quibble I have at all is in the beginning. It talks about like, the horrors being committed by Germany to the Jews and others was reason that we got in the war, and I've always argued that was a secondary issue. It really was a threat to our borders with the attack on Pearl Harbor, and if Pearl Harbor never happened, we probably would have delayed things much longer. But it was definitely used as a reason to, as in propaganda-wise, a reason to, but not really, I think, a justification, if that makes sense. So that's my only quibble. But I think the other thing that's really neat is it does talk about how later on that became a bigger thing as the horrors began to become clearer, and it actually has letters from GIs and news reports and newspapers and stuff like that. So I do really enjoy it as well, not just because of how it presents the data and the info and how things change, but also it uses a lot of words of people that were living at the time through letters or newspapers or whatever. It's good. It's really good. It's definitely a very different take, or not different take, but a different focus on World War II history, and for that, I like it. I think the art's good, very educational, and it's awesome. I think this is maybe my favorite out of all the releases of History Comics so far. Go get it. It is out now in shops. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code. It'll tell if a shop's near you. No shop, no problem. We do have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so you do get a small percentage. By doing that, you help support our site. And speaking of support, I want to thank First Second for hooking us up with the review copy. And of course, thank you all for watching. If you're into comics, if you're into graphic novels, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.